Estudiantes. Today we are going to look at the subjunctive mood. So at this point, you have learned the present tense, you've learned the preterite tense, the imperfect tense, and this whole time you didn't realize that you were learning the present indicative mood, the preterite indicative mood, the imperfect in the indicative mood. Well, moods are just something we don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about, at least coming from English, but you would use the subjunctive mood when you're using more impersonal phrases. So let's look at some of these impersonal phrases. It's important that. It's necessary that. So I could say it's important that you get enough sleep tonight. We could say it's a shame that occurred. But these are impersonal phrases. You'll notice that those phrases don't specify a specific subject. Also, you can see they start with es or no es cierto que, no es there, but then they also all end with que. So that's a pretty good hint that you're in the subjunctive mood. You also can see that they introduce an opinion, such as it's a shame that happened, or maybe a doubt, es dudoso que, some uncertainty. Maybe it's not true that this thing is happening, or it's possible, we're not certain. Subjectivity, it's better if this thing will happen. So these are all just impersonal phrases that give you a hint that you're in the subjunctive mood. And the subjunctive, it's just something that takes some practice. So with practice, you'll get it. But let's take a look at how to actually conjugate verbs in the present subjunctive. So you have 3 steps. You're going to think of the yo conjugation, take off the o, and add the new ending. That is really similar to what we do with our usted and ustedes commands. So for our new endings, AR verbs, the endings are a, es, hemos, es, en. And then for ER and IR verbs, the good news is they share an ending, so that's good. And the endings are a, as, amos, ice, and on. So the yo conjugation is no longer an O, and then for the rest of these conjugations, we just kind of flip-flopped the AR and ER indicative mood endings. So let's take a look at these examples that we have here. So the first one, it's important that you speak slowly. So it's important that. That is our expression that is that's impersonal. So it's important that. Es importante que. So let's put that in there. Es importante que. It's important that you speak slowly. So you speak, that is our conjugation there. So to is what we will use for our subject. Keep it informal. And then to speak is hablar. So we need to be thinking about the yo conjugation, because remember, yo conjugations are not always just regular. So our yo conjugation is hablo. We're going to take off the o. Oh, I forgot my k there. Es importante que. So take off my o, and then it's a to conjugation for an AR ending, for an AR verb. So it will be es there. Que hables slowly, despacio. All right, this next one, it's doubtful that we listen to him. So it's doubtful that, go back to our impersonal expressions here. Es dudoso que, it's doubtful that. So es dudoso que, and then we listen. So we is nosotros. To listen is escuchar. Don't forget to think of that yo conjugation. So the yo for escuchar is escucho. Take off that o. So we'll take off the o. Nosotros for an AR verb is going to be hemos. que escuchemos. Now to him, that is where we're going to replace that with lo. And remember, when you're changing those pronouns to a direct object pronoun, it goes before a conjugated verb. And escuchemos is a conjugated verb. So we will put lo in front of escuchemos. All right, this third one, it's good that he studies each night. So it's good that is our impersonal phrase. Es bueno que is how we say it's good that. Es bueno que. And then he studies. He is él. To study is estudiar. So again, we don't want to forget to go with that yo conjugation. In this case, it is another regular verb. So it's estudio, take off the O. Estudi. And then él for an AR verb is going to be que estudie each night, cada noche. So pretty straightforward if it's a regular verb. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a language if we didn't have some complications here. So this is another thing that should look fairly familiar. We've seen this in a lot of cases. When we take a CAR verb and we change that A to an E, we don't want it to be CE because this is pronounced car. CE would be se. So I want it to still be pronounced as K, so I change that C to a QU and then add my E. For GAR verbs, similar story. We want that to sound like gar, so we want it to have the gay sound, not the hey sound. So it can't be GE, wrong sound. And then with ZAR, we just do not like ZE in Spanish. So anytime that would occur from ZA to ZE, we change that Z to a C. So let's take a look at our example, the verb tocar. So remember, it's an AR verb, so our endings are A, S, A, hemos, es, en. Now when we do that, it would be TOCE, and we've got that problem. So it's going to be QU in front of all of those E's. So toque, toques, toque, toquemos, toques, and token. All right. One more thing. Let's look at some stem change verbs. In the indicative present tense, we have the verb dormir. So that is an O to UE verb. And remember, our first step is to think of the yo conjugation. So we are still going to have a stem change. Now, in the subjunctive, if it is a stem change, it is going to work the same way as in the indicative mood. So it will still be a boot verb. So where we change those endings to a, os, a, amos, ice, and on, we will still keep the stem change in the boot. So it will be duerm in the boot. For nosotros and vosotros, though, they are outside of the boot, so there will not be a stem change. So let's add our endings on there. Duerma, duermas, duerma, dormamos, dormais, and duerman. So really important to not forget to come up with that yo conjugation first. Now, if you would like to see a bigger list of all of those verbs conjugated, if you will open up chapter 21 in your table of contents, go to los verbos irregulares del subjuntivo. That's the irregular verbs of the subjunctive. That will take you here. You can see what the yo conjugation is for some stem change verbs. You can see irregular yo conjugations, a reminder of those CAR, GAR, and ZAR verbs, and then a reminder of having those stem changes that turn into boot verbs there. So definitely check that out. Subjunctive tense, it just takes a good bit of practice. So for sure, get your practice in. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are good. Just don't leave yourselves there.